future.
The first 5 days of this year's Tour de France have served up nearly everything cycling has to offer. A pre-race favorite left his mark in yellow. Thunder rolled in. Opportunists seized the moment, and surprise speed emerged. And in Stage 5, America's Team Columbia saw its first ever stage win thanks to sprinter Mark Cavendish, perhaps the world's fastest rider. Today, it's the first mountain climbs of this year's tour. The GC hopefuls had best be in top form. They wish to climb in the standings. Stage 6 to Super-Besse is next on Versus. We have hit the hills, and there will be some elevation gain today in stage number 6 of the 2008 Tour de France. The hills are alive with the sound of cows. The Salers cows from this region, the Auvergne, known for their taste and their ability to do well in this rugged terrain. Forget Kobe beef. It's all about Salers. Well, our top 10 standings look like this. Schumacher again, another day in yellow, followed closely by Kim Kierken and David Millar. A few more seconds back is one of the GC favorites, Cadel Evans, Fabian Cancellara, still in the mix. 6 through 10 look like this. A couple of Americans right there. Christian Vande Velde and George Hincapie. Team Lokvist has the white jersey on his shoulders, and these are our notables. Denis Menchov still right around a minute back. Alejandro Valverde has lost some time, but today could be his day. Hello, everybody. Along with Bob Roll, I'm Craig Hummer, and we certainly haven't hit the rarefied air yet, Bob, of the Pyrenees and the Alps. But today, as we say, the first true mountain stage of this year's tour. So let's break down the guys into 3 groups yet again, like we did yesterday, but a little bit differently today. Defenders, attackers, and wild cards. First, let's talk about the defenders, the guys that need to protect something.
That would be a guy like Cadel Evans. He's already done a great job in the time trial. He has a very good position on GC. And of course, Stefan Schumacher is leading the overall. Cadel Evans, 21 seconds behind Schumacher, but more importantly, over a minute ahead of all of his rivals.
Evans has spent a lot of time over the years, hasn't he, working on his climbing.
He's worked on his climbing. He has a natural ability to go up the mountains. He's worked on his time trialing as well. This year, he's made an exceptional effort to lose a little bit of weight, and the difference is just a half a kilo here and there. This is on the top of Mount Ventoux in Pyrenees. That is a great result for Evans.
He showed us a couple days ago he can time trial. Now we're going to talk about the attackers, the guys that have to get back something.
Most definitely Valverde, Sastre, Cunego. They need time based on what they're going to lose in the next time trial. There's only one way to do that, and that's to attack Valverde, one of the punchiest riders out there. When he accelerates, nobody can match him. Even on some of the flat stages, when you translate that into the mountains, he has the ability to get a gap and maintain it to the finish line. He's going to need all of his abilities to get time on Cadel Evans.
He's already got a stage win and worn yellow, and we look at the wild cards. These are guys that people think in a one-off stage have a great shot.
Well, Kim Kierken has had a great season so far. He's able to win classics. He's able to be up there in the big climbs of the stage races. David Miller, 3rd overall. He might get the jersey for a few days. And Christian Vande Velde, he's the GC man for Garmin. He needs to do a good ride today also.
Let's talk a little bit more about the great success that Team Columbia is having. If they could go back-to-back 2 days in a row with stage wins, American cycling is definitely on the map yet again.
Oh, it's definitely Mark Cavendish delivering the goods for the team. They've been so close throughout this tour, but Mark Cavendish finally got the stage win. That takes the pressure off his teammates, also gives them a little bit extra motivation. When you see your teammate doing well, you want to replicate that as well. Watch for Kim Kierken to try for the yellow jersey with a stage win.
It could be a double win for us because remember a couple days ago we were in the team car for Garmin Chipotle. Today we are going to be in the team car with Team Columbia. Phil Liggett will be calling in and checking in with their directors. We'll try to get you the audio as well as the video, but it's going to be a great day. Right now, let's take a look at our jersey updates, where everybody's standing heading in to stage number 6.
Schumacher still in yellow. Lokvist, he's in the white jersey as best young rider. Vogler leading the King of the Mountains. And Big Tor Hushovd, because of Kierken's work from Cavendish, has taken over the green jersey on yesterday's stage.
We will be back with the Brits as well as our Saab performance predictions. We're just getting started today.
The 2008 Tour de France pre-race on Versus is presented by Saab and the legendary 9.3 Turbo. Saab, born from jets.
For the perfect balance of fuel efficiency and performance, we take energy from exhaust and recycle it. For the perfect balance of fuel efficiency and performance, we take energy from exhaust and recycle it. For the perfect balance of fuel efficiency and performance, we take energy from exhaust and recycle it. Turning repetition into joy. The efficient performance of the Saab Turbo.
Welcome back as we look out across the Puys and the beautiful lakes which were developed by the volcanoes here thousands of years ago. We have seen one of the new young bloods of world cycling win his first stage of the Tour de France. In our Exxon ride of the day, this was done by Riccardo Rico in the very last closing meters of a tough sprint up Super-Besse. Just look at the speed of this rider as he comes up to the line. He did it in the early days of the Giro, and he's now done it in the Tour de France. Terrific win for him. Stage number 6 on the record books now for this great promise of the future. He's only 24 years of age, and one day I reckon he'll go out as favourite to win this race. That's our Exxon Mobil ride of the day, Riccardo Rico.
I have to say he really deserved that, Phil, because that was a well-timed explosion. He was hovering there in the front end of the main field. And again, let's not forget, Phil, that this is a little bit of teamwork involved here as well, because that's, I think, the reason why they sent Leonardo Pipoli out there very early on, because it forced everybody else to chase down Leonardo Pipoli, who is a man who's got a reputation of winning races at the top of the mountains. And when it came down to the explosion to the line, this man definitely showed he's got a very clean pair of legs.
Well, he held the white jersey in the early stages for 2 days in the opening couple of days of the Tour. He dropped away a little bit, but he's back now. It's his second Tour de France, by the way. We didn't hardly mention his name last year. He finished 97th, but in a year he's really developed quite a bit of stamina.
He certainly has developed an awful lot of stamina. I tell you one thing, he will rue the day that he lost all of that time in the individual time trial, but I think he's come here to the Tour de France this year to learn about riding at the front end of the bike race, and these are the kind of stages that really suit this young man who's got an incredible turn of acceleration. But it also proved that Alejandro Valverde is not too injured with his accident, and of course Cadel Evans is alert and keeping his eye on Alejandro Valverde very, very carefully. But for the other contenders, most of them were really present and correct here this afternoon, although one man I think showed a little bit of weakness, and that was Damiano Cunego.
It wasn't his type of climb, was it? They climbed it too fast for him, and it was probably a little bit too short. 800 meters to go was when just after that was when the fall happened. We're looking out here along. Let's have a little look again. I think we can see it here. This is where it all happened.
He just touched the wheel of the rider in front of him, Phil, if you look at that, and it was because they were going left and right.
And there we go. Let's have a look. And that's where the sprint happened. It went about 300 meters to go, the fall. And I think the sound of twisted metal caused Frank Schleck to make the acceleration, and then Riccardo Rico quickly took over. He may have gone a little bit earlier than he intended. You know, Paul, that gap should be worth a second. It shouldn't be same time.
I think it is definitely worth a second, and that's the important thing, as we see a lot of people enjoying the countryside here this afternoon. Pretty sad for Stefan Schumacher, because he was there and thereabouts, and if he hadn't fallen, I'm pretty sure he would have probably been in the same time as everybody else.
It's not a great way to lose the yellow jersey, I must say. Well, let's go down to Robbie Ventura. I think he's with Christian van der Velde.
Christian van der Velde, was that attack planned today?
Yeah, I mean, we was going to have it dry one, and then David had a free ride to the finish, and who knows what happened with some of the leaders, but I didn't see Dave, so I don't think he's going to feel so good.
You were pounding away out there. Obviously the first real test of the mountains. How'd your legs feel?
Great. I mean, I went away with Pipoli, which is probably the best climber in the world, you know, so I found myself a little bit outgunned and finding myself in a no man's land I didn't want to be in.
A tremendous stage for you. Is a team expectation to just keep charging on every climb?
Yeah, I know, and everywhere, you know, but I think I'm feeling better, and I shouldn't understate myself, and I should really start looking after myself more for the overall.
Congratulations, Christian.
Yes, well done, Christian. Let's confirm the Honda ATV results. Riccardo Rico, top of the list here. And Alejandro Valverde, they gave him a second deficit. Cadel Evans, same time as Alejandro. That's good news for Cadel. Frank Schleck, fourth at 4 seconds. Kim Kirken, fifth. He also lost 4 seconds to the winner. Roman Kreuziger, the man that won the Tour of Switzerland, only a kid at 23. He's up there in 6th place. Duenas, the Barlow World, good ride for 7th. Carlos Sastre, only 7 seconds back. Menchov, 7 seconds. And Pipoli hung on there for 10th place. That was an incredible ride by Leonardo Pipoli. Further down the list, Samuel Santos is 12th. Pereiro hung on to finish 13th. The top 15 completed by Team Colombia's white jersey youngster Lokvist, who was at 23 seconds there. Can we show you more? Yes, we can. Christian van der Velde, only 23 seconds down at 19th place for him. That was a great ride by Christian today. It was a plan, but David Miller didn't seem to have the legs to put in the second half into operation. Valjevec there. I think we can now show you that fall. There it is, right at the head of the peloton.
It was a pretty strange sprint though, Phil, because they were going left and right. Nobody wanted to take up the pacemaking at the front end of the main field, and I think one of the reasons that they did that was because they were scared to start the sprint so far out from the line, and I think that's where the moving left and right that really caught Stefan Schumacher out and off guard, and he basically touched the wheel of the rider in front of him, and he was on the wrong side of the wheel, and if that happens and you start to fall, there's absolutely nothing you can do.
No, it's embarrassing. The judge is absolutely right, I think, not to give him the time, even though it's, mistakes like that are normally rewarded with the time of the group you are with in that final kilometre. This was a mountaintop finish, and they always split time, the riders. And I think the riders know that, don't they?
Yes, they all know that, exactly.
Oh, the music. Let's go down and have a look at the podiums, because I reckon Ricardo Rico is coming out. No, he isn't. We're going to a break. He'll be out when we get back. Welcome back as we look across the summit here at Super-Besse, where the cattle, the longhorn cattle here, have bells, so you know where they've walked off to. And we have just seen now the rider who rang everybody's bell at the finishing sprint, Ricardo Rico, win at the climb. Let's have a look at the back down the road and see how it all happened. The counter-attack started very sharp and fast. We expected them to happen early on, Paul, and they did. And this hurt quite clearly a number of riders.
Well, guys like David Moncoutier tried to get clear, but I think the most serious move came up towards the top of the climb when Christian van der Velde got off the front with Leonardo Pipoli, and for a while we thought that was going to be the big surprise of the day. But, you know, Case d'Epargne did a magnificent job today looking after their man Alejandro Valverde, but they could do nothing when it came down to the final couple of 100 meters to slow down the man that they call the Cobra, Ricardo Rico, adding a stage victory now in the Tour de France to the 2-stage victories he got in the Giro d'Italia.
Yes, and right behind, locked into Valverde's wheel, the two joint favourites of this year's Tour de France, finished like Siamese twins. Now this is the crash here. Now watch this. The yellow jersey touches the back wheel there of Kim Kirken, as Kirken's moved to the right of the rider in front of him, Frank Schleck. And boy, that was a nasty fall. He took out his own teammate as well, which is a bit of an irony. Well, there's the podium, and we can start our presentations. And there he is, Ricardo Rico gets his first Tour de France stage win. He's having a terrific year, and it's his second Tour de France. He finished 97th last year in Paris. We hardly mentioned his name, but a year and a year older, the stamina is there.
And I think that was a pretty confident win as well there, Phil, by Ricardo Rico. That was a massive acceleration he got over Alejandro Valverde, who I think was just being attentive at the front end of the main field, and not just behind him. Cadel Evans was seriously attentive of the position of Alejandro Valverde, and I think he wants to try and keep the advantage he has over the Spaniard as this race now starts to head down into the Pyrenees.
Well, Rico's lost a little bit of time, so he won't move in overall. Let's have a look at the results again. Rico getting the stage, a second clear of Valverde and Evans. Then comes at 4 seconds Schleck and Kim Kirken. We believe that there won't be split time. There will be split time rather, so Kirken should be the next man in yellow. Roman Kreuziger, another youngster, and he's just come off a win in the Tour of Switzerland, finishes 6th today. Watch out for him. And there he is, Kim Kirken. The dream continues for Team Columbia from the United States. Kim has worn the green jersey on the race. They won a stage yesterday with Mark Cavendish. Lufkis has got the white jersey, and now this is the yellow jersey for the fastest man to this point of the Tour de France. What a dream start to the week.
What a dream start, and just to explain how that happened to him, normally on a flat stage, if you have an incident inside of the last 3 kilometers, you're given the same time as the group that you're in, but that rule is never applied when the race finishes at the top of the mountain. You are given your absolute, actual, real time, and that's what happened to Stefan Schumacher. Even because he had an accident inside of the last 1 or 3 kilometers, in the hilltop finish situation, he had to get the clock time when it stopped.
Well, this is the American team that's registered in San Luis Obispo in California, so it's a home win here for Kim Kirken, really. He gets the yellow jersey by 6 seconds. Cadel Evans up into second place, Schumacher down, literally, into third place. This is the most interesting result now. There's still only seconds in it, but Menchov still lingers there at 1:03, Valverde at 1:12, so they have quite a bit of work to do here to get back into this race. We're in the undulations now as we gradually get down to the Pyrenees. Clearly the strong men did show a gain today. Sastre in 12th, looks for a minute 34. Damiano Cunego, question mark now for Lampre at 1:42. Big George is still very much in the mix here in 15th place at 1:45, but it's his teammate Kirken who has just pulled on the maillot jaune of the Tour de France. That's the Michelob Ultra general classification standings there.
Well, this is the group full of the sprinters. These are the sprinters. Stuart O'Grady's in there. Robbie McEwen over to the left-hand side. A little bit further back is Mark Cavendish. So they're well inside of the elimination time this afternoon. And in fact, Kirken, with his performance today, Phil, finishing 5th on the stage, gets himself the green jersey back.
Of course, you would have completely forgotten about our race for the green jersey on points, because you get points there, not as many as on a flat stage. You get 25 for the win instead of 35, but he's gathered enough points to retrieve this green jersey as well. Now, obviously, tomorrow, this jersey will be worn by the rider who is second in the competition, because yellow takes precedent over them all. But Kim Kirken, Team Columbia and the US Paul, they just at this moment in time cannot do a thing wrong.
Well, I would have to say, I think in the streets of San Luis Obispo, Phil, where the team is registered, they're going to have to paint all of the streets green and yellow.
Hushoff will be the man who will wear the green tomorrow. For Kim Kirken on loan, Oscar Freres third in this competition, Eric Zabel fourth, and Valverde is even fifth in the points, and that was because of his stage win the other day and his second place today. He got some good points there for a total of 71 points. Well, there's only 2 American teams in the race. That itself is unprecedented, but they've all been in our pictures today, all trying to do well. There might be a change in the team classification, but that takes a little bit longer to work out. We're looking across Super-Besse and then down towards Clermont-Ferrand and around the Puy-de-Dôme area here today. It's been a lovely day up on the mountain, and I think we could say a very special day for American cycling.
Well, Sylvain Chavanel is the man, as we predicted, would get the lead in the King of the Mountains classification, but that'll be a bit of a battle tomorrow, Phil, because these 2 riders, him and Thomas Voeckler, are locked in exactly the same number of points.
Yes, and Voeckler won't lose this lying down. He'll be in the action again tomorrow. There's some small climbs tomorrow and second cat climbs as well, I believe. So these boys are going to be in the action again. What it did show today was fast riding up the mountain. It was a show of strength by the strongmen of the Tour de France, but they didn't attack each other really. They just kept the show of strength up. Sylvain Chavanel, same points as Thomas Voeckler. Ricardo Rico, because he got double points for that climb. Instead of 10, he got 20. Comes straight in at third there. Valverde fourth, and Cadel Evans is in fifth. There's the map of France. There's the stages we've accomplished. Where do we go now? Well, we wake up tomorrow morning in Bruges and we race down now to Aurillac. That's where the riders finish tomorrow. It is a nice route, this one.
It's not that nice a route if you've got sore legs from today, because it's a very lumpy route. There are 5 climbs on the route tomorrow, with 2 second category climbs and a nasty third category climb on the run in towards the finish.
99 miles tomorrow. Live coverage, don't forget, with us here on Versus, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Enhanced primetime coverage tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and that's 9 p.m. Pacific. Don't be there. Don't forget to watch us also on prime time tonight, because Rolf Sorensen is on the show along with Bob Roll and Craig Hammer. Well, that's always the shot in a helicopter that makes my tummy go upside down, because when you fly in a helicopter and you go off the edge of a mountain, it's a strange feeling. Valverde kept his form a secret today. We thought, was he injured? The answer was no. Bad luck for the yellow jersey. It's no way to lose the race lead. But the rain in the end didn't dampen anybody's spirits. Don't forget to log on to our website at versus.com, play our games with us and enjoy those. Also find out all about our Tour de France plans over the next 2.5 weeks. Well, this is coming towards the weekend, the second weekend of the Tour de France, but really, in truth, with 2 weeks ahead, this race has hardly begun. But even so, the favourites have already projected themselves. I hope you're enjoying the Tour de France live on Versus. We're certainly enjoying bringing it to you. Until tomorrow, goodbye.
How would you